I teach a number of digital history and digital humanities courses around the history department and in the Masters in Digital Humanities program. And what's really interesting about the pedagogy involved in teaching those courses is that so much of what we do in digital history and digital humanities inverts the normal kinds of professor-student relationships or public-private or where we do our peer review, these ideas of openness and transparency. So one of the things that I tried to do with my students is actually get them to live that pedagogy through how we do the class and how we teach it. So two classes in particular I teach. One of them is History 3812, which is video games and simulations for historians. The other is Dig H5000, the core program in the Masters of Digital Humanities. And in both of these classes, the issue in the regular scheduled space is that we can't move anywhere in the space. The rooms have a vision of how education is supposed to happen. There's a transfer of information from me at the front to my students in the back. The desks are nailed down, the chairs are nailed down. And even if you try and move around, the architecture, the reification of that theory of education in the concrete and cinder blocks of the building means that we just can't do what the pedagogy demands. So with the undergraduate students in the digital history class, one of the things that I want them to understand is the ethnography of video games. How, if I ask them to do something in the video game to figure out how to do good history through a video game, they perform just for me. It's like writing an essay. An essay has an audience of one. So by going up to the Discovery Center in the gaming labs, they are performing not just for each other and doing these talk aloud protocols where they actually discuss why they're doing what they're doing and what they're thinking. They're also being observed by the other students in the class and also the people who are walking around outside. So it becomes less about putting on a performance for me, but it situates it in a broader context. And in many ways, it's a lot more authentic to how they would normally engage with video games anyways. So if we're trying to understand how to write good history in a video game, then we have to not be trying to replicate the writing of an essay in a history class. Similarly, for the graduate students, when they're doing their seminars for me in our normally scheduled boardroom space, it's a performance for me, and everybody else tunes out while the person doing the seminar does their seminar. But when we do it upstairs in the Discovery Center at the huddle table with that great big screen across the back, and people are walking by and we're talking, it raises their game tremendously because they're not just talking for me, they're not just performing for me, but they're actually on display in ways that mimic or parallel the ways a lot of digital humanities work gets done through social media, through open peer review, through the haphazard collision of worlds that occurs through digital media. So the Discovery Center and the ability to reconfigure space and that ability to actually be in the open and on display really inverts a lot of the traditional ways in which we are forced into teaching because of the architecture of the rooms that we're landed with.